Qilin Wu, a Chinese national who was charged in January with illegally photographing Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri, has been sentenced to 6 months in federal custody. The base is home to the U.S. Air Force's B-2 Spirit stealth bombers. The sentence was handed down by U.S. Magistrate Judge Jill A. in Kansas City, according to the Air Force Office of Special Investigations, AFOSI, on August the 13th. The case originated from an incident on December 2nd, 2025, when Wu was warned against photographing the military installation. Investigators said that, rather than leaving the matter there, Wu returned to the same location the following day and continued taking photographs of the base. AFOSI emphasized that investigators' concerns extended beyond the act of photographing the installation itself. In Wu's case, investigators said the concern was not just his camera, but that he returned after being warned and photographed more than the aircraft. That conduct ultimately led to an investigation, guilty plea, and sentencing. Following his arrest, the U.S. Department of Justice announced on April 22nd that Wu had pleaded guilty before Magistrate Judge Jill A. During his sentencing hearing last month, Wu was remanded into the custody of the U.S. Marshal Service. So, what exactly happened at Whiteman Air Force Base? And why did the incident attract the attention of U.S. counterintelligence authorities? Let's take a closer look at the case and its implications. Before we proceed, a word on NordVPN, which is one of the most trusted and fastest VPN brand that has a no-log policy validated by Deloitte. NordVPN provides a 256-bit encrypted tunnel that protects your privacy and also enables you to access contents that are blocked based on geolocation. Its threat protection system helps you avoid phishing, scams, and malware. NordVPN application is available for all the major platforms as well as browsers. Get an exclusive NordVPN deal with massive saving by going to nordvpn.com/defense or clicking the link in the description. It's risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. According to the criminal complaint, Air Force Office of Special Investigations, AFOSI personnel, were alerted on December 2nd, 2025, after a minivan bearing Massachusetts license plates was observed parked near the perimeter of Whiteman Air Force Base. Security personnel were dispatched to investigate and encountered Wu, who said he had come to the area to observe the B-2 Spirit bomber. He was subsequently informed that photographing or recording video of the installation was prohibited. The matter escalated the following day when investigators received a report that the same vehicle had returned and was again parked near the base's outer perimeter. Agents responded to the location and encountered Wu for a second time. During the interaction, he acknowledged recording video of B-2 aircraft and taking multiple photographs of the installation, including its perimeter, access gates, and military equipment. Wu reportedly consented to a search of his phone, where investigators found multiple photographs and videos depicting the base and its equipment. Officials identified 18 files of interest on the device. Wu also acknowledged photographing another U.S. Air Force installation and aircraft. In an earlier public statement, the Department of Justice said Wu had deliberately and without authorization recorded images of sensitive military infrastructure and equipment, conduct that could carry a federal prison sentence upon conviction. Authorities have not publicly disclosed whether the photographs or videos were transmitted to another party, shared online, or retained exclusively on Wu's device. They have also not established any publicly known connection between the incident and a broader intelligence gathering operation. Although photographing military installations from publicly accessible property is generally lawful in the United States, the circumstances surrounding Wu's activities attracted considerably greater attention. Authorities highlighted that he was a Chinese national who had previously entered the country unlawfully, factors that increased scrutiny of his repeated presence near a strategically important military facility. According to authorities, Wu illegally crossed into the United States near Nogales, Arizona, in June 2023, and was subsequently released while his immigration case proceeded. On December 3, 2025, he was taken into custody by U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE. In cases involving sensitive military facilities, investigators generally assess more than the specific act under examination. They may consider the individual's background, repeated behavior, the nature of the location being observed, and other surrounding circumstances. The The Whiteman Air Force Base incident is not an isolated example of Chinese nationals coming under scrutiny for unauthorized photography or other forms of collection involving sensitive military facilities. Over the past several years, authorities in the United States and allied countries have investigated a number of cases involving military installations, warships, shipyards, and other strategically significant sites. In April 2026, the U.S. Department of Justice charged Tianrui Liang, a 21-year-old Chinese national, with unlawfully photographing military aircraft at Offutt Air Force Base, Nebraska. Offutt is a particularly sensitive installation because it hosts U.S. Strategic Command and aircraft, including the E-4B Nightwatch and RC-135 reconnaissance platforms. According to the DOJ, Liang entered the United States from Canada on March 28 using a valid B-1, B-2 visa. He was allegedly present at Ellsworth Air Force Base, South Dakota, before traveling to Nebraska. After investigators confronted him in Nebraska, he drove to New York, where the FBI arrested him at John F. Kennedy International Airport on April 7th. He was subsequently returned to federal custody. Another significant case occurred in January 2025, although the individual was a Canadian citizen of Chinese origin rather than a Chinese national. The DOJ charged Xiao Guangpan, 71, with 3 counts of using an unmanned aircraft to photograph vital defense installations without authorization. According to prosecutors, Pan used a drone on 3 separate days in January 2025 to photograph sensitive facilities at Cape Canaveral Space Force Base. The imagery allegedly included space launch complexes, a payload processing facility, a submarine wharf, and munitions bunkers. Pan later pleaded guilty to the charges and was sentenced to probation before being deported from the United States. Reports said the drone had captured nearly 250 images of sensitive military facilities. Another notable case occurred in South Korea in June 2024. 3 Chinese students were investigated after allegedly using a drone to record the USS Theodore Roosevelt while the nuclear-powered aircraft carrier was docked at the Busan Naval Operations Command during a trilateral U.S.-South Korean-Japanese exercise. South Korean authorities said the drone was operated from a hillside near the naval facility and captured approximately 5 minutes of footage of the carrier and surrounding military installation. Whiteman Air Force Base occupies a particularly sensitive position within the U.S. national security framework because of its central role in strategic deterrence. As the principal base for the B-2 Spirit fleet, the installation supports one of the United States' most important long-range strike capabilities, making information associated with its aircraft, infrastructure, operations, and security procedures potentially valuable. The significance of seemingly routine observations has also increased in an environment where information from multiple sources can be rapidly combined. Open-source intelligence, commercial satellite imagery, social media content, and publicly available aviation data can collectively provide a detailed picture of military activities. The incident seemed part of a broader operation. China has pursued a sustained effort to reduce the military and technological advantages held by the United States and its allies. That effort has involved a broad range of approaches, from indigenous research and development and industrial modernization to intelligence collection and the acquisition of foreign technology and expertise. For example, in July 2025, the DOJ charged 2 Chinese nationals with allegedly acting on behalf of the PRC Ministry of State Security to recruit U.S. military personnel as intelligence sources. The FBI said the alleged operation involved clandestine methods, including dead drops, and targeted U.S. military personnel and installations. In another case, former U.S. Navy sailor Jin Wei was convicted in August 2025 of espionage and export violations after prosecutors said he provided sensitive Navy information to a Chinese intelligence officer. He was subsequently sentenced to 200 months in prison in January 2026. And in February 2026, former U.S. Air Force pilot Gerald Eddie Brown Jr. was arrested and charged with allegedly providing unauthorized military training to Chinese military pilots. DOJ alleges that Brown traveled to China in 2023 and subsequently provided training and briefings to People's Liberation Army Air Force personnel. In 2022, British authorities revealed that Chinese entities had attempted to recruit former UK military pilots. A Ministry of Defense spokesperson, speaking anonymously to the New York Times, stated that China had dangled lucrative contracts, reportedly worth around $270,000 annually, in an effort to entice experienced Western aviators. Cyber operations have also been a central feature of China's long-term strategy. Over the years, U.S. officials have accused Chinese actors of conducting extensive digital espionage campaigns against American government and defense networks. These intrusions allegedly resulted in the theft of massive volumes of sensitive data, including information linked to advanced weapons programs such as the F-35. It is evident that there are sustained efforts by China, and the U.S. needs to be very careful.